Well, hello there and welcome to this episode of the Terri Cole Show. I am so excited that you are here. So I want to start by asking you a question. Do you ever feel like when your partner comes home that the first thing they do is flip on the TV, or the first thing they do is grab a beer, or the first thing they do is not say hello to you? You ever feel like sort of an afterthought? Or maybe you're doing that. Because what I've seen in couples, when I used to be a couples therapist practicing years ago, is that we can really take for granted our partners. Like, it's so easy to. So in this episode, I'm going to be giving you some tips and strategies about how you can ritualize acknowledging your person. It's got to be mutual, of course, but there are rituals that we can put into place that will keep us close with the people, especially the one person we say we love the very most. So before we get started, if you are new to my channel, please introduce yourself in the comments because we are a friendly bunch, and make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get notified when we roll out new episodes, which is every Tuesday and Thursday, because I wouldn't want you to miss a thing. And if you are new, my name is Terri Cole. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, a relationship expert, and the author of Boundary Boss, which you can get at boundarybossbook.com. And I want to say thank you for all of your questions and your comments on this channel. It is such an active, alive, interested channel. I love you guys, and I love to highlight your comments. So Astra Linda had a comment under the episode called 8 Simple Mental Wellness Strategies for Every Day. And they say, thank you so much for being such a beautiful soul, Terri. These are all great tips, but I really feel the most important one is mindfulness. I think that we get so caught up in the current of life that we don't look at the beauty that we're passing by. And we're in that current. We just go along in that current and are all consumed with, well, the current. Haha. Yes, technology is wonderful, but I do find myself on it way too much, and I'm going to try to do better. I'm worthy of the best life that I can have, and so is everyone else. Why, thank you so much for saying so. I wholeheartedly agree. So how about we move into today's content? So you've probably seen, when you come home, if you have, let's say, a pet, if you have a dog, not a cat, we're just going to talk about a dog. You come home, or if you watch on Reels or Instagram, dogs are always excited to see you. Like, literally jumping out of their skin, the most excited. It's the most amazing thing that you came home, even if you just left not that long ago. Now, I'm not saying that our relationships need to be like that, but also think about young children. How excited, you walk in and they're like, mommy or daddy, like they're running towards you. Now, all right, you're not going to get that from probably a 16-year-old or a 14-year-old, but there's something about that acknowledgement that is so important, and there's so much joy that comes along with it. But somehow when we're in committed relationships that are long-term, it seems, it's very easy for those things to go by the wayside. So I'll tell you a little bit about my own personal experience in my life, and then I'm going to give you some ideas of things that you can do to not end up allowing the day-to-day life wear you down to the point where you become numb towards your partner, where you become blasé, right? Think about it. When someone passes away, it's like the people get so sad if they didn't have a chance to properly say goodbye, right? That's one of the biggest things that I've heard as a psychotherapist, is that they're so sad that they didn't get a chance to. And I always think about, it's really not necessarily that last goodbye, even though I understand why people feel that way, but it's really about, how did you live with that person? What was your relationship like with them on a daily basis? Were you appreciative? Were you present? Right? So we think about it in relationships therapeutically. There's different versions of this, but we call it the 4 A's of healthy relationships. So attention, acceptance, appreciation, and affection. Now I'm going to go into these a little bit. I think they're pretty self-explanatory, but a lot of things that are self-explanatory, it doesn't mean that we actually do them or that we prioritize them in our life or in our relationship. So attention, but what does that mean? It means when you're talking to your partner, get off your friggin' phone, right? It means when you're talking to them, they should not be on their friggin' phone. At least that's a rule in my life and in my house. I'm very uninterested in talking to anyone who has their head in a screen. And if in the beginning of when, phones were everywhere, because I'm old enough that I've lived through nobody having phones and only having, beepers, and, I've gone through the gamut. But I just couldn't believe, and maybe it's because it was so new, but once it became ubiquitous, where it was everywhere, where everyone, like 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds on phones, I just couldn't believe how much the rules of engagement societally seemed to change. I mean, not for me. No phones at the table, no, and I will not talk to someone who's on their phone. Now, not because I'm mad, but because I have other things I could do. If I'm only going to get half of your attention, I'm not giving you my full attention. And I'm positive I deserve your full attention. I have no doubt about it. And I believe that you deserve mine. Because I'm also not interested in having like a half of a conversation. So it would be my kids at the time, as they were getting older, this is when phones came in, and they'd be like, I'm listening. And I would just say, I need you to listen with your ears and your eyes. I need all of the things. Because the disconnection is so profound, and because we live such busy lives, it's so easy to just be disconnected. Tech is one of the biggest connectors and disconnectors, right? Think about the pandemic, how much being able to Zoom with people we love who we hadn't seen in 2 years. And my kids live all over the place. So it was like, one of my kids lives in Canada, so we couldn't see him and his kids. So painful, but we were able to FaceTime, we were able to Zoom, which without a doubt made it so much better. So attention is the first A. We need to give that to each other, and it creates trust and safety, right? And I would say even expansion, right? When your partner is telling you something, instead of like giving them auto advice, or instead of telling them what you thought they should have done, or instead of like wanting them to hurry up their story so you can get to your story, learn to ask expansive questions. Then what happened? How did you feel? What was that like for you? My husband was just did a podcast that he had done last year, which last year didn't go well. And yesterday it went great. And I was like, what was different? Tell me more. Because I'm interested in his experience, and I want to be the person he wants to talk to, right? I am the person he wants to talk to, but you know what I mean? I want to stay that person by giving him my full attention and being what I call more of an athletic listener, like an active listener. It's not just letting him blab on and be like, yeah. It's giving him my positive, full attention. Listen, you guys, I'm not saying we have to do this every second of the day. We're raising kids. We're making eggs. We're doing things, right? But when you create sacred time, which I'm going to give you in the guide, so don't worry, all this stuff is going to be in the guide for you, terricole.com/guide. I'm giving you ideas of ways to ritualize what we're talking about. So attention is the first one. Acceptance, right? Acceptance. Because here's the thing. Acceptance means that we are viewing our person with compassion and understanding. It keeps us safe in our relationships. We make mistakes, and if there's judgment and if there's harshness on the mistakes, there's not acceptance, and it is unsafe, right? Vic and I, my husband and I, we've been together 25 years. We work really hard to create a safe space. Like if I'm beating myself up about something, he's like, babe, you're a human being. You made a mistake. We'll fix it. It's not the end of the world. Or vice versa. Rather than piling on and making it worse, being in acceptance is like, I'm still here, right? Acceptance of the shortcomings of your partner, of the vulnerabilities of your partner. Being trustworthy emotionally means being in acceptance. Now, it doesn't mean accepting abusive or bad behavior. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about accepting the fact that your partner is going to have amazing qualities and they're going to have less amazing qualities, right? So part of what I want you to get out of this episode is that how you behave on a daily basis, right, day to day, it can either be tearing down your relationship or it can be adding deposits to the well of goodwill, as I like to call it, where being polite, saying please and thank you, acknowledging, right? Affectionately acknowledging each other, which I'm going to get to. But all of that is something that when the shit hits the fan, and hello, it will, because we're human beings and this is life, you will now have all of this more flexibility within the relationship. You have this well of goodwill, these shared experiences that create a resiliency and a flexibility within the relationship. So if on a daily basis you're tearing each other down and being super critical and judgmental of each other and, just all the things you're not doing right, when the shit hits the fan, and it will, then what do you have? There's not a lot of bandwidth for you to use if you are tearing each other down on a daily basis simply by being lazy, simply by doing the lowest thing that people can do, right? This is the path of least resistance. Being critical is so pedestrian. I'm sorry, but it is. Just being hypercritical, it's like being the laziest mother effer in the world. It's so easy to point out what's wrong, right? This is the way the brain is wired, right? We have the negativity bias, which means that we remember painful things 5 times more readily than positive things. So you've got to work 5 times harder to hold on to the positive stuff about your partner, because the negative stuff it's just going to stick in your brain. So with acceptance, you really want to work to not be super critical because it's painful. And that goes both ways, of course. The third A is appreciation. Acknowledging, right? Thank you. Being grateful. Appreciation is major in my marriage. Major. Where we are always appreciative of each other. And this may sound really weird, but whoever gets up last and makes the bed, the other person is like, hey, thanks for making the bed. This is like every day. Somebody makes the bed and somebody says, thank you for making the bed. If Vic unloads the dishwasher, thanks for unloading the dishwasher. Thanks for taking out the garbage. Thanks for doing every freaking thing. You know why? Because you know who doesn't work for me? My husband. He's got his own huge career. Like, he does not work for me. Everything he does to make my life easier, every kindness that he extends me is a gift. And I appreciate that gift. And that goes both ways. It's like cherishing the other person, not being entitled. Oh my God, entitlement will kill love faster than lots of other things. Entitlement and resentment are just such love killers. They really are. Because here's the thing. You are not guaranteed anyone. Maybe your children, maybe. But even that is not a guarantee. But even if you're married, even if you said till death do us part, we need to continue to work these 4 A's if we want the relationship to be one that you want to last until the end of time, right? Who wants to live in a world of resentment and judgment? It's so incredibly painful. Appreciation and gratitude, I would say, is, if I could only say one winning formula in my marriage, because I have a very happy marriage, that would be it. And we do all of these 4 A's, which is important. And the last one is affection. And this is affectionate communication, right? As well as physical affection. Listen, everyone has a different level of their need for affection, but being verbally affectionate, calling each other sweet names. My husband calls me a million different things. I can't even, angel puss. I mean, I can't. I could go on. There's like ridiculous. But they're sweet. And it's literally him referring to me with affection. And always calling each other babe, always saying, hey, love, hey, whatever. Those things actually matter, right? When you express affection in your relationship, what does it instill in the other person? It makes us feel wanted. My husband and I go out of our way to say, hey, you look amazing, or I love that. Or I post about him quite a bit because he's in my life. And I'll say, like, my smoke show of a husband, my one and only. Again, because I value him, like, truly. And I feel that affection. But so much of that has to do with the fact that when, times get tough and have gotten tough in our marriage, in 25 years, of course, you have rough times. You talk about it. We've gotten into therapy over things. We've raised teenagers together. My husband was a widower, and I came in when they were like 12, 14, and 16, acting out teenage boys. That was not easy. Although they are my family, this is they were definitely my destiny, but we needed help. And so we got help because I didn't want these 4 A's to leave our life because times were hard. We worked consciously and actively to continue being affectionate, appreciative, having acceptance, and giving each other our attention. Those are really the most important things. I love this quote by Elizabeth Gilbert. She says, "To be fully seen by somebody, then, and be loved anyhow, this is a human offering that can border on miraculous." And that's really what healthy love is. And that's where the acceptance piece comes in. And we celebrate what's amazing about our person, and we try not to harp on the things that are not at their shortcomings, because we have our own shortcomings. I always think about that if I'm feeling critical of Vic in my mind about something, and then I think, yeah, and you're a day at the beach, you're super not. So don't be critical. Have the conversation if you need to have a conversation, but it's how it's approached. You can have really difficult conversations, but you can approach them with love. You can approach them. Every time Vic and I have a conversation about anything, both of us are so well aware that we are both a stand for the marriage, meaning it would be easier not to have a hard conversation, but that is not what is best for the union. So we have hard conversations because we love each other and we want to stay that feeling of being in love and committed and interested and excited by each other and interested in what the other person thinks. And that means you can't sweep the hard stuff under the rug, because that's where resentment starts to build. So let's talk a little bit about ritualizing acknowledgement and attention and affection. Be mindful to say hello and goodbye. Don't just leave the house, right? Find your person, kiss them goodbye, say goodbye. The first thing you do when you come in, drop your stuff and say hello. How was your day? Kiss your person hello, even if you haven't been doing this. And listen, maybe the physical stuff might not be right for you, but the attention stuff is right for everyone. Don't just come in and flip on your computer or come in and grab a beer. Find your person, say hello, right? How was your day? Talk before you move into something else. With my husband and I, every time we separate, even if he's just going to the dump, maybe being flirty or being cute, and I'll always say, come kiss me goodbye, don't just leave. And that, again, maybe we're extreme and maybe we're corny. I don't know. When the kids were teenagers, they definitely thought we were corny. But my feeling is, it can't hurt. My husband kissing me 10 times a day is not going to be bad for my relationship. I'm positive of that. But couples not kissing each other for months on end, that is definitely bad for a relationship. Make sure you kiss each other. At the very least, good night every night. Even if I get into bed after my husband, which doesn't happen often, but if it does, I don't want to wake him up so I don't kiss him on his face, but I'll kiss his arm or whatever part of his body might be sticking out of the blanket, because it's a ritual, because it means something to me to acknowledge him before I go to sleep. These are things that you can create them as rituals. My husband and I do a nightly gratitude practice, and all of this info, you guys, is going to be in the guide, terricole.com/guide, so don't worry, you'll have it. Nightly gratitude practice, where we talk about 3 things we're grateful for throughout the day, and then we talk about what our favorite moment of the day is. And many times, those gratitudes include each other, of course. And then we do what is called a weekly or a bi-weekly, we do it every other week, State of the Union, where we choose a Sunday morning, stay in bed, have coffee, read the New York Times, and talk about, like, hey, how we're doing. Like, is there anything we need to clean up? We talk about gratitudes. We talk about what's been going amazingly. And then we also talk about, is there anything that needs our attention? Because if you can start doing a State of the Union, you don't have to call it that. You can just call it breakfast in bed every other week, right? If your person isn't into self-help stuff or whatever. But it's something that if you institutionalize talking about the good stuff and the hard stuff, your relationship will be so much healthier for it. So I hope that this added value to your life. If it did, please share it with the people in your world. I so appreciate you spending time with me. And as always, take care of you.